The day. The latest episode of The Kardashians, us viewers, we got to see Travis Barker asking Kris Jenner and Khloé Kardashian permission to marry Kourtney Kardashian. This is, real throwbacky a little bit. What do we think of this tradition of asking, someone in the family permission to marry? Rashmi, you're our guest. Is this throwbacky or is this really, really touching?
It is. It is very romantic, traditional. I completely support it. In my scenario, I did have someone who proposed to me, and it was a bit of a surprise. We were in a relationship for a brief period of time, but he took my mom and brother out for dinner, maybe 8 days before, and asked for their approval, which they loved, and they were on board with it more than I was.
Wow! Oh, that's so interesting. So what happens there?
Well, there had to be a conversation after where I said, why didn't you guys tell me this was happening? I hate surprises. So I absolutely hate surprises. I think if a relationship, if you already know that you're going to be engaged and you're both on that same page, it's a great idea. But if you didn't know that it was gonna happen, yeah.
Did you guys get married?
We were engaged for a while because I felt the pressure of being engaged.
Okay.
So it was the proposal came and I was like, oh, let's talk about this. And he said, your mom and brother are waiting to hear from you.
Oh my God.
This is why some people consider it antiquated, because the only person who matters is the person who is the one yes that you can only move forward to marriage with.
Yeah. So if Travis went ahead with it without talking to Kourtney about it, then I don't see how you would see more drama on the Kardashians.
But hold on. But real question, real talk here is, was it the asking of permission that was the problem, or was it the fact that you two were clearly not on the same page that was the problem?
Yeah, the whole thing was a surprise.
The whole thing seemed like a problem.
Don't surprise Rashmi. Surprises do not work
That's why Cynthia's gonna set this on fire.
I'm sorry. I don't get this tradition. It seems really, really old and antiquated. And I guess it's from a time when it was traditionally you asked the father, right? Because the daughter were thought of as a kind of a burden and a problem. And we've somehow decided that it's romantic, and I don't think it is. I think there's all kinds of reasons why it feels, it would have been so cringy in my household. If Jason had gone to my dad, I feel like he would have felt it was uncomfortable as well. Having said all that, I do kind of like the idea of kids, like asking if you're going to be doing a second marriage and there are kids involved and you're blending families. I do kind of like the idea of asking the kids first, but you run into the same problem. What if the kids say no? Yeah. And you really want to marry that person?
Can I go back one step? Because I think every family is different and every tradition and culture is different. Because Ryan asked my father and my mother, but started with my father. But we also were on the same page. Yeah. Ryan and I knew we wanted to get married. So that was good. We were good on that front. So by the time he got to my dad, it was just going to be a matter of the surprise of the timing, not does she actually want to marry me? And so Ryan did it not because he's traditional, but because he respects my parents and their culture. And they do come from a very different era and generation where that is a sign of respect for someone who wants into the family to respect the parents. So it wasn't about transferring ownerships in or whatever it comes from. It was my dad actually, the exact response when Ryan said, I would like your blessing to ask your daughter's hand in marriage. And my father said, number one, are you sure? And number two, he said, because that Melissa is a slippery fish.
Oh,
I am taking
my
a direct
goodness.
quote. I think he was trying to test Ryan to be like, brother, are you sure about this? But it all worked out, and it wasn't about me. It was about Ryan saying, I respect your father, I respect your mother.
Did you know he was going to speak to your parents?
No, but at the same time, wasn't surprised that he did.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like today when that permission is asked, it's less about, hey, let's make a deal, and it involves your daughter. And it's more about, hey, not even so much about permission, but, hey, are you going to support us in this adventure that we're about to take? Which, yes, it does harken back to tradition, but it's sort of modified and updated. Like, support us. Will you support us? I'm about to ask your daughter, or vice versa. I'm about to ask your son to marry me, and I hope you have our support. But has there ever been a case where a parent said no, and then the proposal was off?
Oh, that sounds like a TV show.
I think Rashmi's case is the one that's the most interesting. Where the family said yes, and Rashmi was like,
I think my brother might have said, "Are you sure?" as well. Like, you don't know what you're getting into here.
But you're right,
This
traditions
could have been a
evolve.
warning.
Lainey, did Jacek ask your folks?
he did. But, you know, to go back to what Cynthia's saying, like, I hear you. I understand, Cynthia, like, especially hearing where the history of it all comes from. Would flipping the order, change it for you? Because the way that Jacek did it, he asked me first, right? And then when I said yes, he was like, I need to speak to your family now, and I need to speak
That
to your
makes more
family.
sense to
Like, I
me.
do think that the order, you know, right, Cyn? I see you nodding. You're good with that?
Yeah.
Sure, the order, but then what if your parents had said, actually, no, we'll take a pass?
I mean, like, you do it. Hopefully you do it when everybody's on the same
And same
page,
page,
right?
It's true. It's true.